So, today, in the hood ghetto streets of Pinecrest, Florida, I'll be discussing the creator of the amazing work you see here, Banksy. Now, although you may not be thinking this, Banksy was actually a very influential street artist at the time, and even made the Times magazine's top 100 most influential people in 2010. Now, of course, when Banksy submitted himself into the magazine, he submitted this picture here, a picture of himself disguised. Now, we're going to take this all back to the roots to give you a little bit of background information to Banksy and his art. So, the image you're seeing there is actually 3D, who was the first street artist Banksy was introduced to, and who kind of started off his career as a street artist. Now, he was a musician and a graffiti artist, so that kind of launched him into the graffiti world. The next artist will be Black Rat. Now, Black Rat was Banksy's most influential graffiti artist guy, because Black Rat was Banksy's most influential guy to him. So, as you can see with these images, Banksy almost duplicated Black Rat's style with the symbolism with the rat. So the reason the rat was so popular with these artists is because they thought it represented them as graffiti artists, being like the scums of the city. Nobody wanted them, but they're tough and they're always evading society. So after his influence with the Black Rat, he goes on to doing some own work. So this image here of the dancing person actually looks like it could be something from Banksy, but it's actually Black Rat. Now the next image here featuring the rat is actually Banksy, and you can tell the similarities between the two works. Now, Banksy is also known for his controversial works and how they are current in society and very popular with what was going on. So the image you saw there with the child with no legs crying is very current to what is happening in today's society. Oh, shit. Okay, so the next image you have there is the guy with the minigun holding the crayons. Now, that is also actually very current in society because it's kind of giving a hint at how children growing up in these war zones where they should be growing up with crayons, but they're actually growing up with miniguns in their hands. As you know, he did all these like controversial works and stuff, but just because he painted everywhere and some people were actually liking some of his works, there's also a lot of haters out there, so he wasn't really popular. He had to run from the cops a lot of times, and his work was liked by society, but a lot of people also didn't like it because they thought it was just vandalizing their bombing their building, which was also very true. So, Banksy wasn't really favored until his film, Exit Through the Gift Shop, which is a documentary on him, and many other graffiti artists, filmed by the man you see there, Teddy. So, Teddy was a amateur filmmaker and was fascinated by graffiti arts in general, and this all started with his cousin, who would paste Space Invader images around the city. So, after he became fascinated with all these artists, he soon got into Banksy's work and recorded a documentary about him. Now, it's actually a very good documentary. You watched the first half of it, and it's excellent. I recommend you watch it. Now, as you can see here, a lot of these works are very controversial works. So, along with Banksy being very influential and being featured in many documentaries, he was also very influential to the street art movement in New York in the late 1900s. So, Banksy was one of the main contributors to that. Banksy didn't just paint his own masterpieces, whether freehand or sketched or stenciled or anything. He also took other people's works and put his own twist onto them. With the first image you see there, the Raft Medusa, it's his version of it, where you see the same raft theme as in the actual Raft Medusa, but instead of having the wooden sailboat sailway, you have a nice super yacht cruising by the raft as if it wasn't there. And the next image you see now is Monet's Water Lilies. Now this image is turned upside down into a more realistic sense in the modern world, where you see trash and debris floating around in the pond. Now this is because, as you know, Banksy is a realistic and controversial artist where he depicts things how they would be in reality.
Hey guys, Felipe here. So I'm here in my garage with my dad's Lexus. But do you know what I like more than my dad's Lexus? Banksy. So, how Banksy used to do his work is he actually became inspired by lying under one of these babies. He was here, or he was out doing his work with his crew, and he had this bright idea while he was stuck under a car because he was left by his friends, that in order to avoid the law, because graffiti or street art was illegal at the time without consent, he should be using stencils or something like this. I'm not much of an artist, so I use this big knife here instead of an X-Acto knife, which allows you to make very precise layers onto a canvas. Now, he would use these stencils once he cut them out, like I did here, and he'd place them right on top of the wall. Now, the reason he'd do this is it would be faster and more efficient than doing it by hand. This would allow him to get in and out of places significantly faster, meaning that he was able to make much more art than he was before, so he wouldn't get arrested. So basically, he'd go ahead with his spray paint, put the stencil on the canvas, and just spray, and you'd get your image. Another advantage to stencils is that you weren't limited to just one. You're able to make more than one, and eventually just make layers of the same artwork.
The great thing about Banksy is he wasn't limited to being revolutionary only in the street art world. Another way that he contributed to society, not only through his different takes on recent events, was his ability to make any property where his art was shown worth more money. Banksy's works in a pub in Liverpool were able to double the price. Now, this Liverpool rat, as it's called, was eventually taken there. The wall was taken off the building, and it was given out to an auction house to be sold and given to a charity in need. Although we may not know what Banksy looks like, it's hard to say we don't know what his impact looks like. The things that Banksy has done in the art community can't be understated and make him one of the more important artists of the later generations.